This is Mike Lee with his first video review of various toys that he owns, and this will be the first of hopefully a number of video reviews for various toys. And starting off this review will be the Revenge of the Fallen Voyager class Bludgeon figure. Now, Bludgeon was a pretender from the original Generation 1 line in 1987, and essentially, Bludgeon as a character was a skeleton samurai who had a tank robot inside, well, that transformed to a tank. And here he is, how Hasbro decided to make a new version of Bludgeon for the Revenge of the Fallen line, as an homage to his original form. And Bludgeon here is a tank, just like his little robot mode from the Generation 1, and he is based off of a Japanese Type 90 tank. Based off of, not exactly, as we can see that he has some features on him that make him really movie-like. The addition of the rocket pods, for instance, as well as this radome on two identifiers that say that this is not exactly a Japanese Type 90 tank. But in this mode, you get what you expect from a tank. He's mostly OD green. He has some orange plastic on him and some gray plastic on him that will be seen in his robot mode. But what I really like about this mode is just how much detailing is actually on this vehicle. A lot of the stuff that you would expect on a military tank are here. For instance, we have these grills on the back for the rear engine block. We have grills for the bustle where the loaders are. And we also have crew compartments and hatches right here. And in the front, we also have spare road wheels, spare tracks, and on the side of the turret, spare tracks reminiscent of the methods of defense used by World War II and even some modern tanks. But most importantly, when we look at this vehicle, when you turn the turret, you can see that there's even some detailing on the side, on the underside of the turret. Hasbro didn't have to put this stuff here, but they did, which amazes me. It's a lot of the detail that you wouldn't normally see on this vehicle mode, or even in the robot mode, but it's still here. And when you look at on the underside, you can see his robot parts. But underneath these robot parts, here, and in the black parts, you can still see molded detail on this vehicle. Very nice job, Hasbro. You really went a long way of just adding a lot of visual appeal to this toy. Now, to transform him, it's actually very simple. First thing that you want to do is that you want to pop the tracks off of the posts, like so. Once you have those off, go to this part, and you detach the hips from the chassis of the tank, and then you pull them open like this. Next, from the sides, you detach the legs of the vehicle, of the robot, I mean, like so. You swing to the side, and then you flip this part up. You take the hip assembly, then you rotate it like this. Move these out of the way. Rotate it until it looks like this. Now you'll hear it snap into place. That's when you know that you've done it. You take these hip parts, you fold them in towards the body like this, and then you straighten out the legs. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice is that this little piece right here, when you deploy the hip piece, this little notch comes out, and this will be for weapon storage of his swords when he's in robot mode. Now, take the legs, move them forward like this, then open up the back panels, fold the little panel down, then you take the feet, fold them out, straighten out the heel spurs on both sides. Then you fold these panels back down. Now, go up here, you take the arms, then you detach them, fold them down. You can see his arm parts right here. Pull them open like this, straighten them out for both sides. Then you take his wrists right here, fold them out. falls out his wrists. Then you take his body, then you push it down, and here you have the head. Final finishing touches, fold the arms down, then fold the shoulders over. And here you have Bludgeon in his robot mode. Bludgeon, as you can see, is not dominated by the OD green that he was when he's in tank mode, but instead now has a lot more varying shades of orange on him, and a rather menacing cybernetic robotic, skeletal samurai head. Once again, a really good homage to his original 1987's Pretender version of Bludgeon. Now, for his weapons, Bludgeon is a samurai, and in the tradition of the samurai, he carries the katana and the wakizashi. For his katana, you take the main gun, you pull it out, and here you have a sword. For his wakizashi, the storage on it is actually very interesting. And the way you do it is that you take the two halves of the turret and you split it. This is also his Mecha Live gimmick, and if you notice that there's this little spinning disc on the left that spins, when it opens, then it also extends out the scabbard for his wakizashi. And once again, Hasbro's work on detailing is just amazing when you look at just how much robot guts is inside. And even on this underside of the turret right here, a lot of robot guts. Hasbro did not have to do this, since most of these parts would normally not be seen. But again, props and kudos to Hasbro for just taking this figure to the extreme as far as putting amount of detailing on him. Definitely worth the price of the Voyager price tag, if you ask me. As far as the sheath, you can either leave it open. You can either leave it open like this for display or close it. I generally like to close it and angle the gun a little bit. The swords fit into his arms, fit into his hands. You just plug them in here like this. The swords are soft plastic, like the turret gun and the rockets, so you're not going to worry about them breaking, but you do worry about them deforming a little bit. But the blow dryer or hot water trick will fix that pretty well. And here he is with Bludgeon. His articulation is surprisingly good for a figure based off a tank like this. He has swivel elbows, swivel shoulders, double jointed elbows, some articulation at the wrist if you want to consider this an articulation, and at this joint right here he has the side to side swivel. The arms do swivel 360 degrees. His knees swivel 360 degrees, and they also on a bit of a ratchet right here. At his hips, they go side to side and forward and back, although they can be hindered a little bit by the flaps on the hip. Overall, a great figure. Really plays on the samurai look of the original character. And even more so, the original Pretender's toy didn't even have a sword, instead he had a gun. So you could say that this version of Bludgeon is more true to a samurai feel of the character than the original Pretender's version is. So my recommendation, if you like Bludgeon, or if you like tank formers, and if you like Revenge of the Fallen, then pick him up. My only real gripe about this figure is that, looking by his appearance, he doesn't really fit into the movie verse of the he doesn't really fit into the movie theme that often features very alien or realistic looks. Given that samurai is very obviously a very terrestrial concept on Earth, it just really wouldn't make sense that at any time that Bludgeon would have looked like this on Cybertron. But that's just nitpicking, and really does not diminish the overall feel and awesomeness of this particular toy. I highly recommend it, and if you can find it, pick one up. And that ends this review. The next review I have is either going to be Masterpiece Skywarp or Voyager Recon Ironhide. Stay tuned for that.